Hello everybody, welcome back. I hope you've had a great week. Today we're going to talk about what to do if you find that there has been a mistake made on your tax return. So what kinds of mistakes might we be talking about? Sometimes it's that you have received a document that you'd forgotten about. Maybe you worked an additional job and you had forgotten about them because it was way back in January of the prior year. Maybe you've received a corrected form. So you filed using the 1099 that your investment company sent you at the beginning of tax season, and a month later they sent you a corrected one. Maybe you were missing a deduction or a credit that you found out you were eligible for later. So these are all reasons that you may want to amend your tax return. So you can amend a tax return at any time if you would like, but if you are due a refund on that amendment, you only have 3 years to claim it. So for example, if you needed to amend your 2020 tax return that was due, disregarding COVID for a moment, April 15th of 2021, that tax return, that amended return, in order to get a refund, would have needed to have been filed by April 15th of 2024. Things were a little more complicated with COVID, the deadlines were pushed around, but in general, you have that 3-year window. So at this point, as we're past that April 15th deadline, for the most part, we are filing amendments at this point for 2021, 2022, and 2023 moving forward. The IRS reminds us not to file simply for math errors. So if you look back at your tax return that maybe was just filed and you find that you had made a payment that you forgot to put on the tax return, or didn't make a payment that you did have on the tax return, those kinds of things are caught very quickly by the IRS's computers. They will send you a letter very quickly saying, we've made this adjustment. And as long as that letter is correct, there's nothing that you need to do. So in order to file an amendment, you use Form 1040X. It is kind of a consolidated 1040. It has just certain lines from the 1040, and it asks you to fill out the original amount, so the amount on the tax return as it was originally filed, and what the correct amount is, and what that difference is in between. So if you were filing to add a W-2 that was $1,000, that change column would say $1,000 and the correct amount column would be $1,000 higher than the original. As you go further down the 1040X, it reconciles the payments, so it asks for if you had a balance due on your original return and have paid that, what is that amount? If you received a refund on that original return, what is that amount? So that it's reconciling down to what the actual impact is of this additional income or this additional credit that you're adding onto this return. One of the most important parts of this form is the explanation of changes section. So this is your chance and your requirement to specify what is being changed in the lines above, especially as this 1040X is a very consolidated version of the 1040. So this explanation might say things like amending to include a W-2 missed on the original filing, see the W-2 attached. Or amending to claim the residential energy credit, Form 5695 attached. So being sure with an amended return to not only explain what you're doing, but to attach any supporting information is really important. So if you are receiving a refund, you can receive that by direct deposit if you're e-filing the amendment. The default with the IRS always on refunds is a paper check, absent other instructions. You can also instruct the IRS to apply that refund forward into the following year. If you make estimated payments, that's often a great option. If you owe on this amendment, you can go online to irs.gov and schedule a payment just as you would any other payment to the IRS. Do note, though, that interest and penalties do apply. This tax was due April 15th of whatever year, depending on what year you're amending. So the IRS will assess additional interest and penalties for not filing or not paying that amount on time. There is a myth out there that says that amendments trigger audits. That's just a myth. So it's more important to file the amendment and have a correct tax return with the IRS and to pay that balance due if you owe one, than to let that accumulate, let the IRS catch it later, and have them charge you more interest and penalties. If you have filed an amendment, you can check the status starting 3 weeks after filing. You can go to this website on irs.gov, click Where's My Amended Return, provide a little bit of information, and it will give you a status, much like if you're looking for your refund on a standard filed return. The IRS could take 20 weeks to process it, so don't be surprised that it will take a long time to get that refund. Are there any questions? Is there anything that I missed? Anything that you would like to know about amendments or about anything else in tax? Definitely let me know. I hope you all have a wonderful week, and I'll see you next week for whatever next week's topic will be. Bye.